And I am live. Hello. How's it going? My name is Rob. I'm from that channel, Performance Check, and let me be the first to welcome you to the Last Dimension. What is the Last Dimension? Yesterday, I went live and I posted that same video onto my YouTube channel, and on it I spoke about my friend who pitched me the idea of setting up a Dungeons and Dragons event to happen monthly at an arts venue that has kind of sprung up in the centre of where I'm newly staying now. He gave this really great pitch, and he said, you should totally do this, like, this would be great. And these guys are always looking for new and exciting events, so you could totally do this. This would be great. And I said, yeah, absolutely, man. So I said, come around, we'll talk about it. And so we did. Me and my mate, we've spent the better part of the afternoon discussing the details of what this could be. And we have finally settled on, I say finally, it took a day, like it wasn't that, we didn't put too much work into it, or too much thought into it. And we've done enough planning that we feel good about it. And it's called The Last Dimension. That's what the event's going to be called. The Last Dimension, a Dungeons and Dragons event. And it's going to be catered to basically bring brand new people into the hobby. Basically, everyone that I want in that event will have never played before. Well, that's my goal, like, for new people. Like, I'm not looking for veteran players. I mean, if people wanted to show up and they already know how to play D&D, that's fine, I guess. I shouldn't exclude people for that, but that's, like, the mission statement, is to, like, bring the hobby to new people. And in the discussion that we were having, it kind of dawned on me, a strategy dawned on me that I think could be good to bring new people into the game. And I want to get you guys' opinions on this. This is why I mentioned it yesterday, because we all know what we like, you know, and we all know a lot about this hobby. So if we all put our brains together and I get your opinions, that would be amazing. So I thought to myself, how do I draw a crowd of people that have never played D&D to a D&D event? And the first thing that jumped into my mind is popular culture, and how Dungeons and Dragons is portrayed in popular culture. Now, sometimes it's done very well, sometimes it's done very badly. And I was trying to think of, like, really, really great examples of that. The first one at the top of my mind, there are many, many different things that I've seen Dungeons and Dragons referenced in and things like that. Number one for me, though, is Stranger Things. Because Stranger Things is a nostalgic look back on everything that we love from the 80s. So that was the stimuli for me. I was like, right, okay, I want to appeal to a new crowd. Let's jump on the old bandwagon, okay? Why not? There has been a resurgence for Dungeons & Dragons, and that is partly because of the wave of nostalgia we are now experiencing in our society today. So why not use that and take a little bit back for the hobby, you know what I mean? So I thought to myself, wouldn't it be great if all of the marketing and the setting are linked? So I thought, well, let's think about Stranger Things. Spoilers, if you haven't seen Stranger Things, go watch it. Don't waste your time listening and watching me when you could be watching Stranger Things. Spoilers. I'll wait for you to leave. I'm serious, you don't want this spoiled. Stranger Things is great. I'm going to have a sip of tea. Okay. Stranger Things, using the allegory of Dungeons & Dragons, in particular the Shadow Realm, that they call it, the Shadowfellas, it's known in 5th edition. They use that allegory to explain the Upside Down, an alternate dimension where Will Byers has been taken by a monster, okay? And this alternate dimension is a dark version of the world that they live in. So I'm thinking Stranger Things, it uses D&D for a storytelling aspect, and it's really clever like that. So that's what I want to focus on. I want to focus on, like, kind of like dimension hopping, and using that example as a way to sort of capture their imagination. For people that are, have only heard the surface things about D&D, this, I think, would be a great way of appealing to like a new audience. So the setting itself, and that's what I want to talk to you guys about as well, the setting itself is called The Last Dimension. And the idea behind it is, I'd like you to imagine a multiverse, and by the way, like, this is going to be so over the top and tropey, your heads are going to explode, but just bear with me. Imagine a multiverse, and on the outsides of that multiverse, if you imagine it as a big line of different realities all pressed together, around it there is a circle, this shadowy, destructive power that I haven't really thought of a name of. Like, I've got a working name, and I think it's called the Hunger. I want to try and avoid too many references to Galactus and, I don't know, what's another world eater? Unicron. Actually, no, I don't want to ignore that. I want to play on these tropes. So imagine there's this massive extra-dimensional force called the Hunger, okay? And it is eradicating different dimensions, and it's closing in on the center, the prime dimension, the last dimension. I'd like you to imagine different races from all across the multiverse fleeing to one dimension. It is the last, it is also the biggest. And this dimension is like a new territory for everyone. I'd like you to imagine that magic was only born like 10 years ago, for example. Like, everything is new. Everywhere is unexplored. And because there's that kind of like new feeling of exploration, I'm thinking that new people coming into that will reflect quite well. I don't know. It's not all going to be like major epic dimensional campaigns either. It's going to be very... I'd like you to imagine like different episodes of The Twilight Zone, for example. That's how I imagine running settings for this thing. Kind of make it pulpy, kind of make it a bit over the top, but still having the classic tropes of, you know, your standard classes, your magic, assassins, basically everything that you would imagine, but the backdrop is this crazy sort of like overarching thing that's happening. So in a way, I'm trying to capture the identity of both the setting and the event I want to run at the same time. So people show up and they get an episode of The Last Dimension, essentially. That's what I'm going for. These walk-away, bite-sized chunks of Dungeons & Dragons that people can drop into, experience, get a really cool kick out of it. It'll be classic D&D, but like pulpy and crazy. And, you know, it's going to be kind of like a retro feeling. I'm going to try and make it feel quite 80s, like the environment. And yeah, and just basically have like a really good evening of just like crazy running games and stuff. And the theme may change. That's the thing. The theme could change in the future. But that's it. I know I've rambled. Like, I've basically spent all day talking about this, so it's hard to put all of my thoughts into like a coherent pitch to you guys right now. But that's like the rough outline. And I'm really excited about this. The other thing I want to mention about it, which, again, is something I'm excited because it means that I'll be able to involve you guys. Because these are going to be beginning campaigns, like the first session that anyone has ever played Dungeons & Dragons before, I want to run it by you guys first. So this is what I propose. I am going to run, I don't know how many yet, like maybe one, maybe a few, but I want to run a few adventures in this new setting, The Last Dimension. And I would love it if people could play it with me. I run the game for them, and then they tell me what they think about it and like how it could be better catered for beginners, perhaps. I like to think I'm quite a good teacher of the hobby. But you never know fully how good a teacher you are until, you know, people respond to you and people give you feedback and stuff. So that's what I'm after as well. So I wanted to use this stream to get your ideas, what you think of what I've said about The Last Dimension, and also, you know, would you be up for playing in a game sometime? Because I love the idea. Like, it kind of makes me think of like the core principle of Pathfinder when it first came out. Like, Pathfinder was that, you know, they go off into new unknown regions. Well, that's how I always imagine Pathfinder to be anyway. Unknown regions, pathfinding, building alliances, and doing jobs that need to be done because you're living in a progressive, ever-changing world. So yeah, I kind of imagine this kind of like frontier kind of D&D almost, like everything's new, everything's unknown, rather than like it being based on the old world, like I guess Lawkeepers is. And many other popular settings, like not just Lawkeepers. So I'm just going to dip into the chat. I've actually got my phone balanced on something because going live on my laptop yesterday was just atrocious. So hopefully this is better. Oh, there's my color end sound effect from my lightsaber from my laptop, because that's what it does for some reason. Chris Wilhelm joined. Hey man, how's it going? I'm about to watch your stream as soon as I've finished doing this, man. So I'm excited to see what you're talking about. Sam DeMercurio is here, and he says, I think Stranger Things appeals to those of us who played back then or played as kids. For brand new players, I'm not sure the nostalgic factor would be there. That's interesting, but I posit this to you. We live in a world of hipsters. And sometimes I toe the line on it being a hipster myself, I have to admit. So that's what I'm gunning for. People thinking, oh, this would be kind of weird. We're going to play D&D. Aren't we cool and nerdy, right? But then they show up and then you get like one of the best, you know, D&D experiences of their lives. That's what I'm aiming for anyway. The best introduction to the hobby they could hope for. So it is a little bit of a hipster honey trap. That's what I'll have on the poster. The Last Dimension, a D&D event, a hipster honey trap. I love it. So that's my thinking behind that anyway, Sam. So that's fair enough if you disagree with me, but like I'm kind of up on this right now. I kind of want to do it like that. Sam then says, it sounds really cool though. I play in it. It sounds really fun. Yeah, man. Like, and it's not going to be like an ultra serious kind of setting either. Like, I think it's going to be slightly over the top. So yeah, I'm going to put this down because I know it's, there we go. So yeah, that's basically what I wanted to say, really. Like, I knew this wasn't going to be like a particularly long live stream, but like, if people watching, like, what do you think of the concept? Like, I particularly love the idea of the hunger. Like I say, it is tropey, it is Galactus, it is Unicron, it is the... What's the other one? It makes you think of the Nothing from Neverending Story as well. Like, just this elemental force that is just closing in on the world. And that's kind of like the backdrop. Also, with weird interdimensional phenomena happening all around, like, this new world. It is really, it writes itself in terms of episodic gameplay as well, because like a weird extra dimensional thing happens. A town goes invisible, for example. That's a one shot, you know, like, a new race of beings have arrived in the last dimension and are demanding that, a certain amount of land is given up for their society to begin to flourish and grow. But those lands happen to belong to someone else as well, and there's like these frontier like land wars almost because of the fact that everyone is being pushed together, and everyone's either going to have to work together or fall. I don't know. Like this is the great thing. Any story could be told in the Last Dimension as well, which I quite like. Like it could have any tone. It could have any repercussion. And also I like the idea of it being an event because if there's going to be multiple games going on as well, they're all going to be happening simultaneously, so people can just drop in and out of the world whenever they like. You know, people can walk in and out, like, because every session will be different, I guess, with the overarching kind of a motif behind it. Like, it could be a number of things, and people would just be able to drop in and out. Yeah, like, I may even, like, suggest, like, a writer's room, and if, like, people wanted to, like, they could pitch ideas to go into the Last Dimension. I don't know, like, that's something that I've been thinking of as well, but I am hesitant to farm you guys for just ideas. Because we all know what happened last time with Legend Lore. It just got out of hand. But it will return. So yeah, like, I mean, I'm quite excited about this. And it's... I just like the idea of bringing this to new people. Like, one of my favourite things about this hobby is telling people about it and getting people involved and stuff. So, yeah, I'm psyched. So yeah, what kinds of stories would you like to see occur in the Last Dimension with the hunger closing in ever more? Like, this is the thing as well, like, I also like the idea that classic adventures of D&D can occur within the Last Dimension that have nothing to do with extra planar activity whatsoever. Like, but it's there in the background, and it can be used whenever you want, and it can be used to up the ante, and it links it all together with the marketing as well. It's like one big old steaming pile of product right there. I'm going to make a t-shirt as well. I'm going to have a Last Dimension t-shirt. So my friend said quite rightly, you don't want to turn up to an event and not know who the person is that's running it. Like, you know, if you walk in somewhere and you're kind of like, who do I talk to? So I'm going to have like a Last Dimension t-shirt made and stuff. And I'm going to make like a wicked poster, I think. Any excuse for a poster. Maybe with the Stranger Thing font. Maybe that's a bit too far. Another font that I'm talking to you guys about fonts now. I don't know if you guys probably have seen the Thor Ragnarok trailer, and the graphics in that are amazing. Like 80s metal with sort of like rainbow flares flying off it and stuff. Like, that's kind of what I'm going for. Like, imagine Masters of the Universe. Yeah, I'm pretty psyched. So that's the Last Dimension. That's the D&D event. A Hipster Honey Trap. That's the event that I'm going to be working towards. I would love to hear your thoughts once again. Thank you for those who already gave me feedback yesterday about some ideas and stuff. And I'd appreciate more of your thoughts. So thanks for that. And I'll be sure to keep you posted about how this goes, because I'm excited. And yeah, I think I'm gonna run some games in the Last Dimension. I think it's gonna be pretty sweet. So yeah, that's it. So thank you very much for watching. And if you're watching this on YouTube, if you like this video, give it a like. If you'd like to see more like it, then give me a subscribe or not. We're all friends here in the Last Dimension, or are we? Thanks for watching. And I hope that all of your performances are up to standard. I winked twice. That was weird, and I didn't do the click noise. There we go. Better. Ah!